tweet it and get that on request and bet. But we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, he done really, really well there at that. But yeah, I mean, was that supposed to be spectacular, special? I guess it kind of was, but I think by that point, and again, fans that were there were probably scratching their head like, "What the hell's just happened?" Was a little bit of a shame. The only thankful thing for this is it didn't go too long. You know, just over 9 minutes, thankfully, which was probably just about right. You know, obviously the spear through the cage, not the greatest thing for me. I'm kind of like done with this now. I'm like, I think I've said all I need to say about this whole feud is that WWE's trapped us into thinking we've sacrificed all these years for Roman to get this guy over, and then all of a sudden they're not doing it. So I have no idea what's happened. I don't know if they've changed their mind or what the hell has happened. But obviously it ain't happening anytime soon. So Brock, you know, they may look at Brock and think, you know what, we're going to have our own. This guy's contracted to us more full time, and he could go to the UFC, win their belt, and all of a sudden we've got the UFC champion being our champion in our company. And how much more greater is that going to be? I'm sure that's definitely maybe a mission that Vince and Brock have spoken about, and what that could bring to the WWE. I'm pretty sure of it. So maybe that's the way they're going to go. Maybe they feel maybe they've just put their they put their money in Brock to now hopefully go to the UFC and win that title. Now that is a massive ask. I've got to tell you that much. Believe me, that's no small easy feat, and that's not a guarantee. You can't just book that thing. So, you know, obviously they've doubled down on it, I think, a little bit, and you know, they'll keep their fingers crossed. Now, if it goes wrong and Brock gets his arse handed to him in UFC, then they've got a bit of a problem. But I don't think it'll ruin Brock's credibility in terms of his WWE, and I still think you can use what he's done. Like, he can come back and just be like, you know, the good thing for Brock is because he's a heel and he's not a babyface, he could just come back and go. He can make up a load of excuses, like, I didn't really lose that match, and this happened and this happened. Like, so it's fine. I think if he was a babyface character, that would be a huge problem to get around that. But yeah, I don't really see too much of a problem. Now, going back to steel cage match, I give this match like 2.5. It was terrible. It just wasn't great. But again, it's a house show style match, you know, and I think that I realised that, you know, before the even bell rung, I actually thought to myself, there's no way, no freaking way Roman's winning. I just could tell. I don't know if it's just body language, but yeah, there was no way he was doing this. Also, let me just say one thing about Roman. In the past few weeks, one of the big problems with trying to get behind the guy is he's supposed to be the underdog, yet he's acting like he's not. He's acting like he's superior. And that's really tough to get behind a guy, first and foremost. Like, I think what they should have done after WrestleMania in particular with what happened, they should have made it like, you know, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I can beat this guy. But like, instead of that is the cockiness, the arrogance that's come out in the character, which is perfect heel, but not great for a babyface. And yeah, not the greatest presentation on Roman for fans to get behind this babyface. So yeah, it wasn't great. Brock goes over. Well, doesn't go over, but well, actually does go over. Actually, even in the results page. But yeah, it was a weird ending. Obviously, Roman goes in. That's Backlash facing Samoa Joe. And next up comes this 50-man Royal Rumble match. And well, what can I say? This was probably about 20 men too long. I mean, first and foremost, I can't believe that they had all 50 guys that hadn't even competed during the show. I really expected like the Miz and Rusev and Joe all to be in this, but they didn't. You know, they kept them out, and they had like all these guys showing up. They had like a Japanese guy, sumo wrestler show up. Now, look, I can't go through this whole match because, like, well, I'll be here all night. because it was that long. So I'm just going to talk about a few of the bits in it. Obviously, first it was great to see some NXT guys there. I'm going to say that much. It was really good to see that, and I felt like the crowd were kind of into it. But you know, it was like Randy Orton. I felt really was got a huge pop, and so did Kurt Angle actually. During this, obviously, Hornswoggle was there. It was a little bit of a surprise he come out in all this. I guess that was like a kind of a fun appearance to the whole thing. We had, I will say one thing, that I forgot the guy's name. The big guy from NXT. What is his name? Is it Adam Batatunda or something? Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. He looked really, really good and strong, and I was like this guy's huge, and not only that, he looked quite agile. Obviously, Bobby Lashley come out. A lot of people talking about the him nearly breaking Big Cass's neck. However, I don't know, because speaking to a wrestler about this, I'm not going to say the name that I was talking to, but he actually said that it was actually Big Cass's fault for not getting up high enough for Bobby. So from a wrestler's point of view, it's kind of weird, because as fans we think, oh, that's Bobby Lashley's fault, but actually he actually blamed Big Cass for that one, for kind of landing the way he did. So that was his point of view. Obviously, Braun Strowman, I think he eliminated a record 13 competitors during the match. Obviously, Daniel Bryan, who come out number 1, I mean, he was over like $1 million. It's amazing how over this guy is, no matter where he goes. And he looks like he hasn't even been away. I mean, the fact that he was in the match for so long and, doing the spots he was doing was incredible. Obviously, the thing with him and Shane at the end, weren't a big fan of that so much, but, Shane got his moment as always and went through the table from Braun Strowman. Very interesting. I liked the way Shelton Benjamin come out in that Rumble and just, blatantly went for Shane McMahon. I thought it was great. In that point of view. And also we probably had what was considered the greatest Royal Rumble entrance when Titus O'Neil tripped and stumbled on his way into the ring. An incredibly funny moment, because they showed it about 5, 6, 7 times. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, everyone was creasing up. They were laughing. The commentators couldn't stop laughing. You hear reports now that Vince McMahon was absolutely in hysterics when he saw it. And it was crazy. It was like, he didn't just fall over, he literally flew into the apron under the ring that you couldn't see anything other than the very backs of his heels on his feet. I mean, it was crazy, and he just got up like nothing happened for some reason. I mean, poor old Titus. Not a great moment. That's going to be played so many times now. That can be your downfall for the rest of your career if you keep showing that point. Chris Jericho, he came out. So a little bit disappointed that he wasn't in it more, but that's what we got. There was a nice moment between him and Kevin Owens. I quite liked that they kind of rekindled that part. A lot of people were asking why weren't Sami Zayn there. Was it because of his? I think I'm not sure if I'm correct in this, but I've read somewhere that Sami Zayn may have some. I've got to get this right. I think Syrian, relatives, in the past, from I don't know, generations back. I have no idea if that's true, but that was rumored to be the reason that he wasn't going to go, and the WWE tried to steer away from sort of actually acknowledging that. Elias, I felt, came across really, really well in it. Also, Baron Corbin, very surprised with how well he did in it. Obviously, maybe WWE a little bit more back on par with him going forward. So I thought there was some nice moments. I tell you, one big surprise in this whole thing was Roderick Strong. Watch his performance, because I thought he got in. I mean, I think this was a guy that wasn't given those moments. I just think he made himself those moments. He made the most of his opportunity. That is the perfect way to go out and show somebody and advertise what you can do. I think Roderick Strong really come across well here. And yeah, it was fantastic. So obviously they cut the big angle at the end, which of course was Big Cass eliminating Daniel Bryan. I think they were like trying to get some heat on him. And Braun Strowman, it was only one winner after that. And of course, Braun Strowman eliminating Big Cass. And Braun through the match, he come across good. I mean, I suppose I can't be too critical because I always say, like, isn't it about time a big guy wins the Royal Rumble and he's dominant and everything else? So I'm happy in that sense. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just never happy, but I felt like for the sake of what it was that night, it probably could have done with Daniel Bryan winning it. Only in the sense that, unfortunately, the match had nothing to gain from it. Like, they never said, oh, if you win the match, you go to SummerSlam. So it really doesn't matter who the hell won the damn thing in the big scheme of things. I know you get that huge, giant, great trophy, which was enormous, by the way, and a title belt now. I don't know what the hell you do with that, but, really, anyone could have won this without too many ripples happening in the storyline. And I don't know, I just think the sake of the night, I felt Daniel Bryan, I know it might come across a little bit sort of like, he was number one, he's already got that moment. He's outdone the new record for the amount of length of time that he was in there. But I don't know if it just would have been more of a feel-good moment, really, that was probably needed at the end of this type of night at like WrestleMania 30. But they went with Braun, and I'm not going to argue with it because it was the next best. Kind of happy for Braun. Disappointed in a way that he's been sort of exposed, but it was kind of cool to see him chuck out Shane McMahon. I mean, maybe that's good that he's got that edge to him still. Maybe he can play between the parts. Who knows? But yeah, Braun Strowman winning the first, perhaps, of many, I don't know, of the Greatest Royal Rumble. Was a very awkward moment I felt at the end when the Saudi Arabia guy was trying to give over the belt, and Vince was out there as well. Very strange. Obviously, all the pyro was going off, the fireworks. I mean, the fireworks, my God, they certainly put a lot of money into that. But yeah, as far as a Rumble match goes, it's very, very hard to score it. But, it was watchable. I certainly was... I was entertained enough. I did feel like they did hurry a lot of the entrances in. I don't think it was done with any real timers on it, let's put it that way. And I did like the way they started off with Dolph and Daniel Bryan really like sort of really looking like they want to eliminate each other and like going at it more, and I felt that was quite cool. So there was probably loads more in the match that I just can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, it was a good night for the Rumble. I felt not totally terrible, but just a bit too long for me for my liking, the 51. But so 3.5 stars for me. Glad that Braun won after all this. Now, as we've been on the air, breaking news has come up, and probably got to. Probably address this as best as I can. And again, like news coming out from Saudi Arabia that there was a lot of issues around the video that aired during the show, where I believe it kind of it was maybe a little bit too much for them in the sense of empowering women from the WWE. Now, according to, and this is sources from the BBC, so allegedly, I don't want to read false information here, but allegedly, the World Wrestling Entertainment. This is the statement that it says here. This is from the BBC News. So the men and women attended, although no female wrestlers were allowed to take part in the fights. This is from the BBC, by the way, in the UK. But state television cut off its broadcast of the event when promotional footage showing female wrestlers aired. The footage rolled on a giant television screens around the arena during the fight. the Saudi General Sports Authority apologised